everyone, welcome to Mode. I'm Beatrice Newman, founder of Mode, the online educational platform aimed at providing you with expert fashion knowledge in business, tech, and sustainability. Yes, we're doing this. And I'm joined by my co-host, Peter John Hossein, founder and CEO of Beyond Form, a fashion tech venture studio. Say hey, Peter.
Hi, everybody. I can't wait to get this series rolling.
We're really going to get into it, right? So today we're talking about the business of fashion and taking a look into LVMH's recent appointment of Pharrell Williams as menswear creative director. Peter, what are your thoughts about this?
So when I first saw this piece of information in my inbox, I was just like, WTF, like, what the hell? Why is Pharrell being the creative director of LV menswear? Like, my initial reaction was just like, there's just so many great designers out there that could easily fill this role, and it's taken them 2 years to fill it, basically.
Yeah. I think for me, I was surprised as well, and then I was like, okay, I get it. But yeah, I'm still quite surprised, especially because I don't necessarily read into too much when I go into social media. You just see a collection, you're like, oh, that's good. And Kids Super collection came out for LVMH. So I had automatically assumed he was going to take over as the menswear creative director. So this really confused me when I realized it was Pharrell Williams. I was like, okay. And I guess we've kind of dug deeper and looked into it. You're like, okay, what are his credentials?
Well, he has done collabs with Louis Vuitton in 2004, 2008, albeit obviously that was, early 2000s. He obviously has also had his own brands, Millionaire Boys Club and Ice Cream, which was done in partnership with a Japanese designer called Nigo. So he has obviously done some things in the menswear slash ready-to-wear slash streetwear slash clothing world and fashion industry, but I'm just not sure if he's able to fill Virgil shoes, which were very big.
I mean, I feel like when you think about Virgil and then you think about the appointment of Pharrell Williams, I think that's why it makes so much sense to me, because they're very similar, but then also very different. And Pharrell brings in, I think, a very different je ne sais quoi, I guess, to LVMH, that it's not necessarily to fill Virgil, but I think it's to further develop it into that hype space that Virgil really did well in developing for LVMH. So I think in that way, it's probably a good business move for LVMH. And the fact that Pharrell does actually have a lot of experience within fashion is good. I think the main consensus, though, for a lot of creators is, why couldn't a talented designer have actually taken the helm instead of another celebrity? And we're seeing a lot more of, celebrities taking up a lot of these job roles. And I understand why people are mad about it.
Yeah, I understand why people are mad about it. I am borderline sat on the fence. Yes, I am kind of mad, but I'm also like, it makes business sense. When we're thinking about this massive brand like LV, we know that actually they've got so many design teams working in the house anyway. And we know obviously Pharrell isn't going to be sat there day in, day out.
That's it, isn't it?
Creating stuff. He's going to have a whole team.
Yeah.
For that. So we know what the reality is. But I think from the business perspective, we shall see if it's going to work. Obviously, it is a hype move. It is about leveraging on celebrity culture, leveraging on the hype that has been established by Virgil and taking it into the realms of music, entertainment, media. So I think it makes savvy marketing sense and brand currency sense. From a design perspective, obviously, we don't know yet. Pharrell, in my opinion, needs to prove himself as a potential creative director, and we shall see if it is going to work. But LV has been down this route before with Rihanna when they tried to do the luxury label with her, and it didn't work. It closed in 2021, less than a few years in business.
True. I mean, I get it with Fenty, and that's just looking at the whole celebrity power again with what these big brands are trying to do with celebrity power. But I think sort of coming back to Pharrell, I'm beginning to wonder if the landscape of fashion business is slightly shifting, in that they have just a megastar creative director at the helm. But as you mentioned before, behind the scenes, you're going to have all of these other talented designers who are going to funnel the vision of the creative director. So in essence, as you said, just having a celebrity behind the house is is almost generating its marketing and its press. You kind of feel like this isn't a new concept, because this is something that magazines like Vogue adopted earlier on from the 80s with the supermodel, and starting to bring in celebrities onto their magazine covers to sell magazines, etc.
Vogue has been utilising the power of celebrity for years. The first celebrity to grace the cover of Vogue was Julian Marlowe in 1901. However, the development of celebrity as a marketing tool for Vogue wasn't widely adopted until in the late 80s when Anna Wintour took the helm. Since then, the power of celebrity has been used as a major tool to drive brand recognition and sales, particularly for fashion brands, a discussion for another time.
But I just wonder if it's pushing design talent far more further back behind scenes, and I guess, I don't know, putting out a message out there that you can spend $9,000 or sometimes even more on university education in developing your talent and all of these things, but at the end of the day it's not really ever going to be recognized, say for a celebrity wearing your outfit, or certain people saying, if you're not an influence, you're not really going to be in front of the camera.
Fashion education has long been a debatable topic amongst would-be students and parents, particularly in this day and age where tuition fees can be expensive. Mode believes education is important and seeks to support current students and graduates with the next phase of their creative career journey. It is important to note that there are many creative ways a fashion degree can be utilised after university, and that there is more than one route to have a fashion or creative career you can financially depend on and be proud of.
Yeah, and to be honest, like Pharrell is such a household name that literally everybody on the planet knows who he is.
Absolutely.
So just from this one little announcement is already putting LV back on the map. Not that they needed obviously to be put on the map, but it's just, I can imagine that their PR team, the metrics are just going so high right now. So who would you have liked to have seen fill this role then, Beatrice? Talk about that.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't think I have any one person. Like I said, I actually thought Kids Super was a perfect fit. I really enjoyed that collection, and I just felt like it was I don't want to say a level up from Virgil, because I don't think you can touch Virgil. Virgil was in his own space, but I think Kids Super brought something new and different to the brand that I was like, I really get it. It's like version 2.0. I'm really here for it. So I guess Kids Super, but I guess looking at some of the social media commentary around the news, Bianca Saunders was mentioned, which I totally get as well. I think you mentioned, Peter, who was it? Grace Wells Bonner, who won.
Yeah, so for me, I love her style aesthetic. I think she's done so well for herself. And, she was an LVMH prize winner. And I think it would have been nice to have somebody from that ecosystem that was already in the fold, obviously has been spotted as talent, could have taken the reins, but Grace is not a household name like Pharrell is. It's just a different strategy from a business perspective. So she won in 2016. Somebody else who I thought would have been really good would have been, Marine Serre, who comes from France. If they wanted a French designer, she won in 2017 the LVMH prize. Just these two ladies would have been really great, I think.
And I love the fact that these are women as well. We don't really have much women and women of color that to point out in the fashion industry. So I guess that would have been like a perfect fit. I think when you talk about LVMH, something that just came to mind though is that it doesn't really have a house code. It's not like all of those other brands, because it never started off as a fashion brand. It was more luggage and accessories, handbags. So I feel like for me, it sounds like more of a residency kind of business model, if you will, where all of these really cool celebrity designers or influencers get to design for LVMH and put their own spin on what they think the house code should be. But there really isn't a house code, and therefore you sit down and think, well, perhaps that's why they haven't gone leaning on actual designer talent, because they want to push the boat out a bit more on creativity, which is, I think, an also interesting concept.
Yeah, I think somebody else who I thought could have been quite a good fit would be Edward Crutchley. obviously mentored heavily by Kim Jones, who is currently one of the creative directors for Dior, which is obviously a brand in the LVMH portfolio. I think that would have made sense. Somebody that's already had quite a lot of industry experience and quite a strong portfolio dealing with the bigger brands. Whereas I guess, obviously, with the LVMH prize winners, I understand if they're not right for the bill because they don't necessarily have the experience dealing with such big houses. But with somebody like Edward, where he has worked for the big houses as a freelancer, could have made sense. And obviously being mentored by Kim Jones is just like something that you can't really just buy.
Yeah, just to put it into a bit more context, I mean, there are around 4,000 fashion graduates a year in the
Yeah.
UK alone, and there are only like 500 jobs, according to a 2016 article by Not Just a Label. And if you want to emphasize that a bit more, there are not really many fashion designer roles, other than sort of fashion roles within retail, perhaps. I mean, the other thing that a lot of creators start talking about is who are the agents who hired up for these roles? Where do they get their talent from? Where do they source their talents from? And how do we then manage this large pool of so much talent in the industry when we're always kind of starting to leverage celebrity power over new development that could really support the infrastructure of and pushing the fashion industry in a new direction?
Yeah, I think for me, it's ultimately designer or the designers that are graduating. It's about finding your edge after you do graduate. What is that something special that is going to get you noticed? And even if you are noticed, like the LVMH prize winners, it doesn't necessarily mean you are going to be stratosphered into the next stage. If we look at a previous LVMH prize winner, Thomas Tate, he actually ceased operations after he won the prize. A few years down the line, it's just so difficult to get your name out there as a designer. Both you and I, we're trained as designers, so we get it. We know how difficult it is. Obviously, there's another shameless plug for our design work, and actually, I don't design anymore. I know, Beatrice, you do.
I do, yeah.
So something like this, do you think it is demoralizing for a designer, or do you think, okay, Pharrell is such a good role model for so many people out there that actually know, yeah, good for Pharrell. Let's use him as the next poster child.
I think it's about shifting our thinking away from I want to be a star and I want to be famous and it should have been me, to what am I really bringing to the table, number one, and do you really have what it takes to continue to develop good product that people want? Or are you just a really good creative or designer that can work with someone in developing the vision and building something of meaning? And we don't talk again about that a lot because creatives are very self-indulgent, I would say, and that they just want the focus to be on their talent. But if we really look at the business of fashion, there are people behind the scenes who do just as amazing a job as a creative director, who find it just as rewarding to be able to work within a team and create some phenomenal things.
Yeah, I think this is like a good moment for a flashback. So obviously, Beatrice, you have been on the catwalk with your collection. Obviously, we've known each other for quite a while now. So just a flashback moment right here. Screen with Beatrice's beautiful dresses being displayed at the V&A Museum in London. So V&A is the Victoria and Albert Museum for our international listeners. I'm going to flashback myself. But I think essentially I agree with you. It's about finding your niche. It's about finding your perspective. And I think Pharrell has both of those things down to a T. When you think of Pharrell, you know what his perspective is. I think it'll be interesting to see now, is he going to translate what we understand as the Pharrell perspective into his new LV role? And I can't wait to see what is that first collection. He's going to be under everyone's scrutiny as soon as that first collection hits.
And I couldn't agree more. And I think just probably on an end note, it'd be what the takeaway from this conversation would be is I think you need more than creativity to survive and turn a profit in fashion. And it's never been more true in this context, and possibly reveals why Pharrell Williams is a good choice for such a powerhouse like LVMH. And as you've already given, I think you've given a timeline of, Pharrell and, the experience that he's actually developed. So I think it really is more than just creativity. It just makes sense for LVMH. So I think it's important for creators to have a focus and an aim, as I mentioned before. A lot of creators tend to have tunnel vision. So it means they can't really see where they know where they want to go, but they don't know, they can't see everything else and how to develop them to get to where they want to go. And I think we all need to be open to that and really essentially understand business of fashion, as opposed to learning it out to stylists and influencers and saying, it's on this person, it's great.
Yeah.
If you're not really making any money, as my parents would say, it's still a hobby. So thank you for watching. We hope you gained some insight and valuable information. Leave a comment below and join in the conversation. Tell us what you think. And to find out more about Mode and to make sure you don't miss a beat, hit the subscribe button below. And if you're looking also to gain fashion knowledge you can trust and also build your expertise, make sure to visit our website and sign up to one of our courses where you can gain expert advice and tips from industry experts. Link in the description. That's it from us today. We look forward to you joining us in our next video. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.